Actually been to the Louvre.
Yes. Stand up.
One, two, three.
Hold on, Glenn, hold on.
Are we down to our base quorum?
Okay. Okay, very quick, Glenn.
Okay.
Run.
Do we need him for a quorum?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my goodness.
we have to wait.
We've read your report.
Francis.
Would you like us to ask you some questions?
No.
Well, I've got the honest answer.
Of course you would, Kevin.
I've got a question. It's a nice question.
It's lucky there's never a queue in the men's.
Well, can we start? And then not vote until he comes back? No. All right. Chris, where are you? Oh, he was going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What's the quorum? 10.
Gee, you're going to have to be nice to me now.
It could go as well.
You're going to have to be nice to me.
You're green.
This is a red wine.
I'm sure you are. You want me to slit my wrists and you can drink? Thank you.
It just won't wash out.
I got him.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're still going. Yeah, no, we've got about another half an hour. I'll come up afterwards anyway.
Because you guys would be holding it just in colours, but the kids were chasing us and filming us and the film stuff. It's a big thing out west.
Thank you.
I know, 'cause we've only just got a call on. Summary slides, please.
Just 2 slides?
Yep.
So we'll,
We're going to take a bit that's read here, but you've got it here, and sorry, unless there are issues, we're going to go to the summary slides. Are people happy with that?
Is that the last one?
Speak up if you're not.
okay, I just wanted to do the first one and the last
Hey,
one.
Francis, sorry.
Okay, so just to be clear, this is the group consolidated report for the 6 months to 31 December. These were released to the NZX on the 28th of February, and that was subject to review by Audit New Zealand. The committee would have had on the 21st of February, the Auckland Council parent presented to you, and the CCO results were sent to members separately under separate cover. Then if we can go to the very second last slide, which is the summary. These are, the report is very similar to the one that we presented in December, just with revised figures. But I think the summary covers and summarises it pretty succinctly. We're still in the situation where we've got an operating surplus, which is slightly ahead of budget. Operating expenditures still well controlled overall, with 2% below budget. Capital expenditures 19% behind phased budget, but that's improved since September, where we were 26% behind budget. So there's been an improvement there, and our debt parameters are still within the credit rating financial ratios of 223 versus the trigger of 277. So we're comfortable that that overall we're in good shape. Obviously, they're the normal pressures, but we think that it's under control. Happy to take questions.
Capital expenditure behind budget by the end of the financial year, what are we predicting? Bit of a catch-up?
Tight, I suppose.
Yeah, look, no, the forecasts we're getting coming through are still suggesting we will be behind the 12-month figure, around about the 85%. Potentially we're still optimistic, it might even be slightly lower than that. Just depends on how much work can be picked up in the next 3 months.
Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you very much to officers. This is actually quite a good report. I mean, not as far as content, but the actual figures. So we're 37 million over our income.
the expenditure, we're 31 million under budget, but I just want my question, I know the answer, but I want to say it just for prudence sake. We're saving $22 million this year in savings, right? So we're under budget 31 million to date, on top of that 22 million, which is what is actually showing ratepayers that we're actually making an awful lot of savings. Now, I know that figure may change for the next 6 months, I'm sure, but we've started the year with a very good target of savings, and I think that's to be congratulated, so thank you.
Okay, well, Nick, Member Wilcox?
A couple of years back, we transferred 300 million from ACIL on expected savings and additional funds that we would make from that 300 million by having it invested in-house as opposed to within the CCO. Can you tell me in here how much extra we've made since we have transferred that 300 million?
Not 300, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually down from that figure.
Oh,
There's some, but John?
Yeah, through you, Chair. So the 300 million of the diversified financial asset portfolio was transferred from ACIL to Council. So that's continued to be managed within Council in the same way that ACIL did. You might remember that we had approval about May last year to sell down 100 million of that portfolio, which we've subsequently done. And we have approval subject to the Chair of the Finance and Performance Committee, the CEO and the Group CFO to sell down another 100 million in the next financial year. So look, what we've done is we've saved some of the overhead costs of managing that portfolio, but it's been managed in exactly the same way. So the returns you're seeing from that fund wouldn't be materially different from what would have been achieved under ACIL.
so in other words, at the end of this year, we'll only have 100 million of that?
Depending on market conditions between now and then, we would think now around about 130 million.
And where does the other 200 or that 170 million go?
So let's say before we started the sell down, it was around about 325 million. Take off another 100 million, 225. There's been some market growth, but we'd expect around about 130 million to be left following the sell down in next financial year.
No, I'm asking where does it go to?
Oh, sorry, where does the funds go to? Essentially reducing debt. So if we hadn't sold down the 100 million, we'd have 100 million more of debt.
Thank you.
Which would ruin our credit rating.
Councillor Denise Lee and then Councillor Holes.
Thanks. So we were unfavourable, specifically fees and user charges, noting that it's in the 1 to 5% category, not the over 5. Just any comments on that? Any material concern there? Maybe a comment on Ports of Auckland? More 1%
No,
than it
it's
is
just,
5%.
well, what's happened is Ports of Auckland have had reduced volumes, but at the same time they've had reduced costs. So they're obviously managing that quite tightly because that's the commercial reality that they operate in.
And you're okay on the Auckland Transport side of things?
Well, I think it's important to understand that both patronage and parking are up on last year. It's just that the budget was set and they haven't quite achieved the budget.
Okay.
Again, that's just the reality.
Right.
That's it. Councillor Lee? Yes?
Oh, sorry, yep, no, just
Councillor
checking that
Holt.
there's nothing of material concern.
Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Lee and I think are on the same side of things. So that last explanation was really useful, and the variance to budget is more a function of where the budget was set, because we quite often, want stretch targets, and then we get the budget that sort of sits according to those stretch targets, and then you end up having to report a variance with us, and it's a bit of a little circle. So just going into annual plan, I guess just a little tip around that. I've got 2 quick questions. I thought the way that this is presented is just better and better and better every time. It's so much clearer, and I'm going to have to ask the the question that will make me look foolish, but I'll ask nonetheless. I just don't quite understand the employee benefits. The 500 million higher than budget result was predominantly the result of reduction of staff time and costs recovered on capital works. I just don't understand how those two sit together.
Right, so one of the things is when we set the budget, because we do quite a bit of capital work programs in-house, the costs of staff that work on those capital projects, one can capitalise rather than put through the profit and loss. And so, because that's lower than what we budgeted,
Right.
it's shoved more through operational costs.
Okay, so it kind of also sits with the delivery of capital expenditure. Got that?
Correct.
I'll remember that link. And just finally, the unbudgeted payments to Auckland Theatre projects. What was that? That was just in the grants, contributions and sponsorships line.
Yes, so, through you, Chair, that was just, that was something that was, I would assume would have gone through some committee or something to be approved.
So it was
It's just, we're just reporting the reality of what happened.
Okay, that's good.
It was fairly minor.
Yeah. It's really good. Thank you.
Voting.
You happy to move?
Yeah.
Yep. Councillor Walker, you happy to second?
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to.
I was happy to move.
All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Good. None against. Thank you very much. Well done, folks. Thank you, Francis and Kevin, Neil and Catherine.